Our gospel passage today is really a story of two sons. Bartimaeus, the son of Timaeus, and Jesus, the son of David, as proclaimed by Bartimaeus. And it is the juxtaposition in some ways of those two names, those two sonships, that give us something to ponder today. Today we see Jesus headed towards Jerusalem. We already know that from other parts of the gospel. He's in Jericho. He's leaving Jericho. He's about ready to make the long climb up to Jerusalem. Jericho is really the last village on the way from Galilee until one began to climb up into the mountains to get to Jerusalem. So the people who were with Jesus would have been excited, for they were almost there. And Jesus, though, knew what his journey was about. He's already predicted it to his followers, though they seem not to understand it. Jesus understood that he was going to bring salvation for all humanity, for all of creation, that he, through his suffering and death, was going to repair the divide that separated God from humanity. And he was going to do it in his very person. So this was fully on his mind. And yet the crowd was excited because they were going to Jerusalem. And in the midst of it, Bartimaeus starts shouting, "Son of David, Jesus, have mercy on me. Have pity on me." Bartimaeus is an odd name. The bar is clearly Hebrew. Timaeus seems more Greek, so it is a put-together name. It's either what somebody would have been called if they were actually Greek-speaking but happened to be in this Jewish environment. Some people see in the name Timaeus, however, a reference or an allusion to timorous, fearful, Bartimaeus meaning son of fear. Other scholars see in it a reference to Plato, that in one of his dialogues, Timaeus is the one who says that sight is the source of knowledge. But whatever it is, it's a blind man, someone with no sight, sitting, begging for a living, unable to see who's in front of him, asking anyone who comes by, perhaps another beggar, perhaps a wealthy person he wouldn't know, simply shouting out, asking for alms, the very things he needed to live. But when he hears, because he couldn't see, when he hears that it's Jesus, he starts shouting out with another title, Jesus, son of David. In all of his journeys, we've already seen here in the Gospel of Mark, Peter announcing Jesus as the Messiah. But this is stepping it up a notch, really tying Jesus into the messianic promise of David, the one who would bring all of Israel back to unity. It is the blind man on the road to Jerusalem who truly announces who Jesus is, and he begs him for mercy, for pity. He begs him to so bring him in, and only God truly is merciful, to give him the fullness of the mercy of God and make him one. That's exactly what Jesus gives him. He says, your faith has saved you. And by the way, he got his sight back too. His faith in Christ, his faith in the person of Jesus, has brought him the fullness of the promise of God. In our first reading from the prophet Jeremiah, the great prophet of doom, we hear words of hope. Jeremiah had been proclaiming to the kingdom Be careful, be careful, be careful, be careful. You're angering God. It's all coming to an end. In fact, even as these words that we hear today are spoken, Israel is about to be exploded. And its powerful people, its wealthy people, dragged into exile. And they were going to now experience about 80 years of hardship and suffering apart from Jerusalem. But after having predicted this and prophesied about it, Jeremiah is now saying something radically different. He tells them that the Lord has saved his people. Not will save, has saved his people. In the midst of the beginning of the destruction, Jeremiah is saying God's promise is fulfilled, and that there will be a day when from the north he will bring them back. God will bring the remaining Israel together, gathering everyone from the farthest ends of the earth, all of them, the blind and the lame, women with children, a great company returning. So that even in the beginning of the time of destruction, God is announcing salvation is already come, and to put one's hope in it. Bartimaeus, the blind man, heard that Jesus was close by, and he put his hope in Christ. He put his hope in the promise, and he is part of the fulfillment. The blind shall see. Returned to unity with God the Father. As we hear a story like today's gospel, we can see ourselves in many of the characters. Are we the crowd who follow Jesus but still don't understand him? Are we those who see someone excited about Christ and say, shh? Are we those who finally say, courage? And how many of us, and when and where in our lives, are we Bartimaeus, no longer children of fear? Bartimaeus, now those who understand that sight, true understanding, is the seed of wisdom, the seed of knowledge. Are we willing, as Bartimaeus was, to throw off his cloak? Again, a reference that might be lost on us, but that would have been the way he made his income, with his cloak lying over his lap or on the ground in front of him, for people to throw their alms in. Bartimaeus was all in. He gave up his means of security to go seek salvation. Today's story is a story of types. Those who wander along, those who tried to tamp down, and the one who throws in, all in, I'm with Jesus. No longer a son of fear. Now, a true follower, dancing along the path with Christ. So may we.